there was a girl. My name is Rob Corzine, and I am the Vice President of Programs for the St. Paul Center for Biblical Theology. There's a biblical apostolate here in Steubenville, Ohio, started by my friend and professor, Dr. Scott Hahn. I was not a faithful disciple looking to find out everything I could and be faithful to the Lord. I was in the Church of Rob. And so I've been raised very faithful Baptist Bible Fellowship, but I kind of fallen away as a teenager, and it was my assurance that there couldn't possibly be anything really to this Catholic thing that gave me the freedom. My arrogance was the lever our Lord used to get behind my armor. As I said, I had been kind of fallen away a Baptist, and so I found myself doing what I really should have known better than to do in dating a Catholic girl. And after a few months of dating, she mentioned casually to me one day, she's like, if we ever got married, you'd have to become Catholic. And I'm pretty sure, I don't recall exactly, but I'm fairly sure I didn't laugh out loud. But in no uncertain terms, I explained to her, no, if we ever got married, and that's a separate conversation, you'd have to get saved and become Christian. And every time that we would talk about it or argue about it, she'd end up crying, and I'd end up going, "So you see, your religion's just not biblical." But unbeknownst to me, some of my friends from the University of Michigan that I'd introduced her to were Catholic, and they had a good friend who was this budding Catholic apologist named Gary Machuda. And behind my back, Gary hooked up my girlfriend with a big Ziploc bag full of Scott Hahn tapes. So we went camping one weekend, me and Denise and Scott Hahn on the little boombox. And that weekend was a turning point in my life, and would have been even had I never become Catholic, because I was deeply convicted. I wasn't convinced. I was sure he was wrong and had missed something really important, but it was really obvious that he had done what he'd done. He'd done this crazy thing of becoming Catholic for the right reason, that he was convinced that that's what Jesus required of him. And I felt like here I was with the real true Baptist faith, and I wasn't even willing to get out of bed on a Sunday morning. And had I never become Catholic, that moment was an opportunity of conversion for me. And I'd grown up in a neighborhood with lots of Catholics, and they were not what we recognized as Christians. They were the kids who swore, they were the kids who drank. They were not like our good Baptist kids. But Gary convinced me to come down to Franciscan University for a Defending the Faith conference in 1992, and I really thought, this has been a great exercise for me, a great experience, all this Catholic stuff. It's got me going back to church, and now I'm in Bible study, and I'm in the choir, but I need to get this out of my system. I'm going to go down to Steubenville, I'm going to hear it from the horse's mouth, and make this part of my Baptist testimony. I found myself crammed into a big circus tent up on the hill, and I looked around, and I'm like, these are not the Catholics I grew up with. Everybody in here loves Jesus more than I do. And my whole paradigm was shifted, that, my confidence that, even if this writer and that writer and this biblical point and these few people, I still know what Catholics are like, was just destroyed. And that's kind of when it got serious. And a lot of conversion stories have that point where it goes from being, a really interesting detective story and you're learning lots to, like, all of a sudden, this is scary. This could change my life. And there were point by point doctrinal issues. There's sort of interesting stories about how each one of those falls. But in each case, it was the lesson learned in my head, and then some form of a big 2x4 upside the head to get me to actually do something about it.